Hello. You can. Everyone is here to do that. Yeah. Sure. How are you?
Yeah, it's sticky. Good on the tube. Hi, how are you?
His wife's Japanese. I'll speak to you about
Cam.
Okay, so okay, I have to call you Cam when I come to. Okay.
Late Cam. Jen Cam.
No, that's fine. That's fine. What's your background? No, don't. I think about it just helps me.
Just have to.
Okay. No, so I just want to try to pick a question. It's lessons about looking.
You're good with the evaluation?
Yeah.
I think everything else is because
You don't want to very nervous.
start. That's probably finishing it and
This might be, but you might be very important. Yeah, this is about 2008 chef de mission for the Olympics. He was in charge of the colony chef de mission. His daughter.
Child model.
I think it's started. Guys, we are starting. Cam, evaluations are happening in the second half today. So,
So good
so
time.
that, yeah.
Relax.
Yeah. Hi there. I'm good,
When
thanks.
you do this,
Of course, yeah, for sure. Yeah, cool. All the best.
Hello जी.
हेलो अरे ये क्या हुआ चमत्कार
Just so I don't get carried away with that. Good evening, everyone. Mr. President, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and most distinguished guests. My name is Paula Lewis, and I'm a Sergeant at Arms for this evening. A very warm welcome to everyone. Just really to go through some general housekeeping points for this evening. So, not in any particular order. Mobile devices, whether they're iPads or mobile phones, I won't ask if you have them, I'm assuming you do. If we can ask you preferably to have them either switched to silent or off, just so that we've got a smooth running of proceedings this evening. Fire exits are behind us here, just following the signs for the green running person. And in terms of toilets, if you exit through either the door here or the door here, and back out into reception, and then the toilets will be on the left-hand side. So out through reception, and then they'll be on your left-hand side. In terms of, that's to mention to you. In In terms of the agenda for this evening, so we've got a packed agenda. We will have a break partway through the evening. Teas and coffees will be served for you through the back there. We've got other refreshments, biscuits and everything else. An opportunity for everyone to network. But the key thing is enjoy it, have fun, and welcome. Thanks very much. Introducing our president, so David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, and welcome to another Trojans event on this, what's turning into a bit of a hot, steamy afternoon. I was riding the tube this afternoon, and I have to say it wasn't very pleasant. But there we are. It's London, it's winter, and at least we're not in the south of France, where I heard on the news today that it hit 45 degrees. That's hot. And apparently 3 people have died already, which is tragic, but it happens when it's hot. But we'll move swiftly on from that. So this is the end of the old Toastmasters year, and it's the beginning next week of the new Toastmasters year. As you know, I'm the president again, so I'm the outgoing president and the incoming president, so we probably a smooth transition. And I just wanted to give you a couple of quick updates on club business. So the new committee met last week. We had a really good session talking through priorities and issues and things that we're looking at doing for the club, and we've got some projects that we're working on that we'll be sharing with you. In financial terms, the club continues to be in really good health, so we've made investments this year. We bought a new camera, we bought a data projector, and I just looked at the online banking, and we are £9.80 short of having £2 grand in the bank. So we're in pretty good shape financially as a club. So we will be in a position to make further investments into the new year, and for other things that the committee and the club decide that we want. So without much further ado, I'm going to pass over to our Toastmaster this evening, because we do have a packed program, and there will be more coming as the committee comes up with more ideas. I'll brief you more on that, but I'll hand you over now to our Toastmaster, Tanuj.
Good evening, Trojans.
Good evening.
I can hear some guests say good evening as well. Thank you. So you're already feeling part of the family. Good evening, Trojans and guests. Today we have a very, very, very packed agenda. It's been a while since we had 4 scheduled speeches. But before I kick things off, can I quickly check, has everyone got access to this agenda? Can everybody beg, borrow, steal this sheet of paper? If not, please sit next to people who are, who've got access to this page. Don't worry, it's on to say. I will read out what's going to happen. This is essentially the agenda for tonight, and I'll call upon what steps we'll be going through. There are people who are participating in this meeting as well, so we'll call them on stage. Please do cheer them up well enough with loud applause. And the second thing I want to check, everyone should have access to an evaluation sheet. So this is a rectangular sheet like this. So please make sure you have access to this, because this is where you will be providing feedback as well as voting for the best speakers in respective categories. So with that, let me start today's meeting. So like any team sport, this meeting is contributed with a lot of effort from different people, and I would not be the only one who would be doing all the talking aside from all the speakers. So for the guests' benefit, this meeting is structured into 2 halves. First half is all about prepared speeches. So there are people who have requested a dedicated slot to speak today. They are registered members with Toastmaster International, and they will be coming up and making their prepared speeches. In the second half, we will be moving into, I would say, kind of impromptu speaking, but not completely. The first part of the second half would be table topics. So Simon Wadjana is our table topics master today, and he would be throwing some really good curveballs at people to come here on stage and speak on some varied topics. Beyond that, we would have evaluations, which is a slight shift from our standard agenda. We tend to have speeches evaluation before the network break, but today we are going to have all of the evaluations in the second half itself, which would allow us to maintain some amount of rhythm and hopefully will save some time because we've got a long meeting anyways. So, let me call upon my support team, and I'm going to make a change here as well. I'm going to call upon all my support team members here and they can introduce what they're going to contribute with. So can I please call upon Nishtha and Paula on stage, please. Please welcome Nishtha. So Nishtha is our timekeeper for tonight and Paula is doing the Romanian role. So I would let them explain what they're going to be doing during the meeting.
Thank you, Francis. I'm your timekeeper today, and my job is to keep an eye on the clock and make sure that all the speakers here tonight stick to their given time limit. We operate a traffic light system. If you turn around, you see there is a lamp there with a green light. This means that you've reached the point where you have hit the minimum length of your speech performance. This is an indication that you're now entering the danger zone. I will then turn the light to amber. Yes, that means we want you to start winding up. And when you see the red light, then you probably have about 30 seconds to wind up your speech. Don't worry, we'll not throw you out. I'll just ring the bell and that will tell you how long you've taken. So that's my role, and you will see me a lot this evening.
I'm Paula again, your grammarian for this evening, and in the role of grammarian, it's not just listening to everyone's speeches and picking up on grammar, good, bad, indifferent, but it's also about interesting turns of phrases or the vocabulary that's used. So that's essentially what I'll be listening out for tonight. And the word of the day, or the word of this evening, is the word suspense. Now, these flip charts behind me do have the word suspense written on them, I can assure you, and also at the back. And you're probably trying to, frantically look at what it is, but the word is suspense. So, without further ado, I'll hand back to you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So, as Paula was just saying, we'll try to incorporate the word suspense in our speeches today. And with that, let's kick things off for our formal phrase for the evening. And I would like to initiate the formal prepared speeches section by calling upon David Horn, who is going to share the objectives for Claudia, who is making her speech, a keynote speech today. So please welcome on stage David Horn.
So, I could tell you what the objectives are, or I could keep you in suspense. So, a keynote speaker establishes a rapport with the audience and matches their style of delivery to go with what the audience. It's all about really drawing in the audience and gaining rapport with them and establishing that connection. And they should use dramatization to make abstract ideas more real, and they should use things that inspire the listeners to apply what they're doing. So the objectives today are, number one, to identify the basic differences between keynote speeches and other speeches. Number two, to learn how to evaluate audience feelings and establish rapport. And number three, to learn to use the professional techniques necessary to deliver a keynote, which is a very common form of a professional presentation. And finally, to develop a speech style and delivery that effectively inspires and moves the audience to adopt your views. So I shall hand over to our speaker, Claudia Walsh.
Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, I want to thank you very much for having me in your midst and having me present to you. At this particular time, when you're having what I will call a change in administration, outgoing of the current committee, and the incoming of of the new committee that will take you over from 2019 to 2020. It is indeed a very pivotal time for any Toastmaster club. So thank you for sharing that with me, and thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to stand before your members. What are you doing here? How do you justify being here? Why are you here? Why? That's something that we should ask ourselves. However, whatever your motive or your reason for being in this room, in that seat, at this time, listening to me, one thing is for certain: you chose to be here. And since we all choose to be here, it makes sense that we maximize, utilize, optimize our time, our effort, our energy, our resources, where Toastmaster is concerned. What is she talking about? Well, I'm here to talk to you about making some Toastmaster year resolution. Whatever was old and went out, there are things that you can take from that, and there are things that you must let go. And whatever is incoming, there are things that we must embrace, and there will be change. Would we agree with that? Yes. Thank you. So with our new committee coming in and our older one going out, I want to share with you some lessons about Toastmasters, give you a little bit of history that you already know, and for our visitors, they'll definitely be learning. And I want to talk about 3 areas. I call them the benefits, the action, and mentoring. What are they? The benefit, action, and mentoring. I could share loads with you, but these I think are more pertinent to you all. So we all know how Toastmasters came about through a man called Mr. Smedley, who went to teach some boys and realized that it was good that they had skills, but it's not good if they do not know how to communicate, and it's not good when they do not understand leadership. And as young boys, he found that very important, so he started, well, he was in the YMCA, and it started there on the 22nd of October, 1924. Years later, nearly a decade later, we are here today as a result of that. And we have different reasons for coming here, don't we? No? Yes, we do. We have the reasons of going to get married, so we need to make that all-important speech. We have the reasons of wanting that promotion at work so badly, but I must prove myself a leader. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love a bit of ambition, and that's something very good to have. Toastmasters are ambitious people. Toastmasters are driven people. And Toastmasters are good communicators and very good speakers. Good communicators, very good leaders. Toastmasters. So you're in a very important and very prestigious environment and establishment. I like to look at it like that. Everything I look at as an A++, and I'm looking at A++, second to none. So let's talk about the benefits. So what benefits do you think there are in Toastmasters? You can shout out. Benefits?
Increased confidence.
Pardon?
Increased confidence.
Increased confidence, definitely. So we already established that we're good speakers and good leaders, yes, and we're in a very good establishment. Anything else? What benefits?
Finding your voice.
Finding your voice, and also finding you, because there's a you behind that voice. Anything else?
Networking.
Oh, fantastic. I thought you'd never say. Networking. Some of us love to chat and socialize. Yes, it's a good platform for it. Do you know that some people don't even come here for the speeches? They just come to just hang out amongst great people. Isn't that wonderful? Any other benefits?
Thinking on your feet.
Thinking on your feet, fast thinking. And there are lots of politicians, this is a fact by the way, lots of politicians started to develop good speaking habits right here in a little hall like this somewhere in the world. Anything else? I want one more before I go on.
Listening skills.
Listening skills, very good, and I'm going to give you one. I think it's rather economically priced, don't you think? Value for money. Where else could you go and get this arena for a humble fee that we pay? If you pay someone to coach you executively, do you know how much would have been coming out of your pocket for an hour? And we get that here. Isn't that something to behold? So whatever the reason, whatever the reason that draws you here, just do not take it for granted. There are benefits to be had right here in your Toastmaster room. Never take for granted. Action. Now this is my charge to you. Do not look to the left. Do not look to the right. Where should you look? Be focused. Why? You came here with a purpose. You came here to lead, you came here to communicate, and everything else that you get with this is a bonus. Take action. Take a functionary role. Do your icebreaker. Somebody over there? He's smiling. Get involved. It's good that you sit and learn vicariously. That's wonderful. But your true learning will only come when you take action. You must do. And if you take action, then we all benefit from it. If you do well, then we do well. Trojan Club does well. Your area does well. When you take an action, it might seem a bit selfish, but it is supposed to be in that sense. It's supposed to be focusing you somewhere. But it's a good kind of selfish, because that action you take, however big or small, everyone will benefit from. Would we agree with that? Yes, I see the shaking of the heads. And considering that we come here to mutually learn and explore, how else are we going to take action if we don't literally and physically get up, volunteer, step forward, make some mistakes? Do you know that failure is sometimes good? Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. It's not nice at the time it's happening though. We'll give you that. But the learning you get from failure can make the success even sweeter. So when you learn that to come up here and bumble and clasp your hand and feel a bit nervous. 10 speeches later, you're standing, expressing yourself, voice projecting, body language, eye contact. You don't even remember way back in that distance there. The success is sweet. So action. Take action. Do not look to your left. Do not listen to the person over that side. Do not look to your right. Stay focused. We have a saying in the Caribbean, I'm here to drink milk, not to count the cows who produce the milk. So drink milk. Stay focused. Bam. What's the third one? Okay, just testing. Mentoring. Now, Toastmaster is a very giving place. And everybody who comes receives. Would we agree with that? Yes. But we also have to give back. And what good way to consolidate what we have learned? By giving back to somebody else. Now, some of us are a little bit shy, and it will take us a while to work up the nerve to come and do what we need to do up here. That's fine. Find somebody who looks nice. That's the only criteria you need, right? You just need somebody who looks friendly. You need a good face. You need what you need. And you work your way over there and get yourself a mentor. I'll tell you a little bit about my Toastmaster story. I started off Toastmaster in what I believe was church. You know, in the Caribbean, you go to church from morning till evening, and you do recitals and so on, and your parents stand up and let you do it at the door before you head off to church. We were like that. So I had a little bit of introduction to speaking, but I've never had it in such a structured and organized way, especially outside of church, which is very good. It's good to go out of what you normally know. Come out your comfort zone and see how you grow even more. And the first place I came was here at Trojans. And it was quite interesting. I enjoyed it. But the day was wrong. So I had to find a club just for the day. For a day that I could actually attend, an evening I could attend. And I joined the West London Speaker. I have never looked back. And I will never look back. And because I do, West London Speaker also, do you get that? They also benefit. It's not about me, myself, and I. It's about individuals taking action, and collectively, everyone will gain. I've entered competitions, first, second, third, no mention at all, but it's all good. It's learning. And one of the hardest things for me was failing. I am Claudia. I should be mentioned first, second, or third. No rating? Ooh. But guess what? There are people who are as good as you, not so good as you, and there are people who are far better than you. That's life. What do? Up your game. And when you do, who benefits? Trojan Speakers Club benefits. Hang around the people who are positive about what they do, however small. Be the person who is positive about what they do, however small. And if every individual is doing that, what will we have? A club that is so positive that everybody who comes here goes back and says, do you know what they're doing over by the Trojan Speakers Club? Gosh, that group. Individuals helps to make the world tick. Individuals collectively form groups. And the collection of us here is a plus plus. You're all second to none. That's how I see myself. That's how I see you. So, it's grand for me to talk about this, but how can we go to be second to none? I'll give you 3 tools that you can use. Tool number 1, read. Read widely. Read, read, read anything, everything. Read audio, read, hold it a hard book, Kindle, read. The more informed you are, the more you have to share. The more you read, the more you take in. The more your views are widened, and the more those expression comes out when you stand up here. Read. Number 2, I mentioned it before. Be a mentor or be mentored. On the £2 coin, there is a note around it, and it says, standing on the shoulders of giants, each one help one. I am a giant, I'll help you. You're a giant, you'll help her. She's a giant, she'll help you over there. Standing on the shoulders of giants. And what you think is my number 3? Number 3, make sure that everything you do, you reflect. So you come today and you make your presentation, you do your participation, and you go back while it's fresh in your mind. It works. 5 to 10 minutes when you reach home and sit down with a cup of something warm or cool, depending on the temperature, just say, what did I do well today? Who knows the truth like you? Sometimes we don't even need that slip of paper, because we sort of know, oh, that didn't work too well, or you sort of know, I aced that. And you can celebrate. It's okay to do it outside, you don't too egotistical there. But you just make sure you read, go source that mentor, and everything you do, reflect. If you're not taking quite time to look back and think about what you're doing, you're just going on and on and on and on. When do you get time to interject and say, okay, what could I do better? Do I want to repeat this speech but with a different twist? Do I want to, oh, let me call my mentor. And your mentor don't have to be one person. Because remember, we network, we socialize. There might be somebody who is particularly good at something that you like. It's okay. So what I am saying for you this year, this new year, with the incoming group or committee leading you, make sure that you do your BAM. Make sure that you participate, you do everything, because this is the year that you are going to do, and as a result of you doing, then we'll do also. Tell you what, out of my time here, I have managed to open my own business. Speaking business, my background, of course, is in healthcare management, and I do still provide a service. But this is also a perfect alternative to a job, whether it be full-time or part-time, and a hobby that pays. Just saying. So what I'm going to drive home to you, encourage each other, but please do start with you, because when you do, Trojan Speakers Club do, and when they do, Toastmaster do, everybody does well. Thank you.
Can I please request everyone to look at the evaluation sheet and fill in your feedback for Claudia in the first speaker category. And for the guests' benefit, generally the format of our feedback is commendation, recommendation, commendation. So show what you think Claudia did well or any subsequent speakers are going to do well, and also give them an area of improvement that you think they can enhance their speech with. Now, as Claudia was mentioning, we all make mistakes, and that's part of the journey. There's a very popular saying in my native language, which essentially translates to that only the people who ride on the horsebacks fall on the ground. So if you don't get onto the horse in the first place, you're not going to fall off and make mistakes. So you have to learn as you go. And I'm going to admit to one mistake that I did. I did not call on one key role for today's meeting, and which is of a harp master. And Melanie is contributing as a harp master today. So can I please request Melanie to come here and explain her role?
Those are the last bars of the lullaby that my musician father wrote for me when I was born. To this day, as you can probably tell, it still makes me emotional to hear it. Listening in a wholehearted and dedicated fashion, whether to music or speech, is a powerful ability that we all possess. It enables us to connect both with the feelings inside of us and the people around us. In the last month, my dad was told that he's lost 80% of his hearing and will lose the rest imminently. Already, he can't tune his guitar or hear half of the notes in the songs that he's written. So this evening, as harp master, I'm asking you to cherish the vital sense that you have and put it to good use, and listen closely to all the speeches that you hear this evening. I will be asking you about the details that you hear at the end to test how well you've done that for me. Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next speech, which would be delivered by Sumit, and Sumit's evaluator is Tim. May I please request Tim to share Sumit's objectives?
Yeah, Sumit's objective really is to use a lot of vocal variety. So I did this number 6 on the Competent Communication Manual the other week, and I went from shouting to being very quiet, and hopefully that it's just in order to emphasise points in speech. So, Sumit will have to use voice volume, pitch, rate and quality to reflect and add meaning and interest to the message, and you must also use pauses, so what you should look out for that, to enhance the message, and use vocal variety smoothly and naturally. And so yeah, the title of this speech is C'est la vie.
So please welcome on stage Sumit Singh with his speech C'est la vie.
Toastmaster, friends, and most welcome guests. Today I want to share with you a personal story. A time when I was in deep distress, personally and professionally. I want to share with you how I coped with that situation and what my learning was. A few years ago, when I was living in India and I was working in IT, I was completely bored to death working in IT. I thought I want to change my field to investments. But there was no way anyone would be giving me a job in investments. Because in India, if you haven't got a degree in that field, it's hard to get a job in that field as well. So I decided to do an MBA. I got enrolled myself for an MBA program in France. And for that program, I had to put all my life savings, leave my cushy job, and get an extortionate student loan at 13% interest rate. Yes, it was 13%. Now, as I enrolled myself in that MBA program, financial crisis erupted and people were laid off in mass, hundreds of thousands of people in Europe. And there was no suspense that there is no prospect of a job after that. In summary, I was in a deep shit. Pardon my French. I started applying for finance jobs after that, but there wasn't any luck. I started applying for consulting. There wasn't anything in that. Went back to IT. There was nothing in that. Even tried tire manufacturing, oil marketing, aircraft manufacturing. Nothing. Even tried flipping burgers, giving tuitions. There wasn't any job in that. Absolutely none. What do I do? At that time when my course ended, it was in mid-December 2008 in the outskirts of Paris. I was living in a campus where all my course mates had gone back home for a Christmas vacation and just left the country as well. And in that desolate, God-forsaken campus, I was cutting a lonely figure. My university's career services department told me, go back home, there is no job over here. Between December to February, there is no job anywhere in Europe because people are on holiday season, there is budget planning, year-end planning, whatnot. At that point of time, there were two voices in my head. The first voice told me, these are the career services people. They know the best. Take their advice, take heed of them, and go back. But then there was another voice in my head which said, these wretched career services people, they have the most stagnant job themselves. How can they advise me of a career change? I listened to my second voice. I was robotically applying to jobs, refining my CV the whole year. And it was slightly robotic fashion, but still, it was efforts nonetheless. And then something magical happened. Just after Christmas, it was 27th of December, when I got a call from a French investment bank in London. And they wanted to hire an intern at that time. My interview call got scheduled for 31st of December. And I prepared for it as if it was a CEO position. Then in that interview itself, I was given the internship position, and within 1 month's time, I was in UK. That internship determined the whole career of my life up till now. Now that internship was the basis of changing my location, function, industry, which my career services department was telling me continuously that you can't change all of these three all at once. They were telling me, go back home, there's nothing over here. I got the internship at that time, converted it to a job, and that has helped me ever since. Now, what was the learning for me? The learning for me was always listen to the experts. They will tell you what you can't do and why. Then go ahead and do it. C'est la vie, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sumit. Please take a minute and fill in the evaluation sheet for Sumit's speech. Again, focus on where you think he did well and what he can improve. So talking about interviews and talking about how Toastmasters can help you. Today I was sitting on a table with the Chief Operating Officer of an Australian bank. It's a very large scale bank. He was interviewing me for a role. Out of 40 minutes we spent together, guess 30 minutes conversation was about what? Toastmasters. So I cannot thank my stars, my luck that I put elaborate description about what I do here on my CV and got his attention. And he said that he has been thinking about joining Toastmasters for a long time and has not gathered up the courage. So Chief Operating Officer has not gathered the courage to join Toastmaster. And I made him a very fancy pitch. Hopefully he will be, and he lives in Hammersmith, so one of the clubs is going to benefit from it. But again, one of the benefits, and sometimes life comes and finds you in different ways. So another benefit, as you were calling it on, Claudia. Now let's move on to the next speech. The next speech would be delivered by Carla, and Carla's evaluator is Irina. So may I please request Irina to share Carla's speech's objectives, please. Before I call upon Carla here, let me share. So she's doing an icebreaker speech. Now these words might sound Greek to a lot of guests. Say, what is an icebreaker? What is a competent communications manual? Sign up and you'll find out. But let me welcome Carla for her icebreaker speech. Please give her a big round of applause, Carla.
And my aim today is to just give you a summary of my life from 1974 to today, 2019. So who am I? I am Barbadian by birth, I'm Grenadian by naturalization, and I'm British by citizenship. From the age of birth, from birth until age 11, I had one parent in my life. My mother, my very overprotective, very strict mother. Following from that, in 1986, I was formally introduced to my father, the man who I always knew was my father, but he did not acknowledge me as his daughter. Following up from that, I found out I had siblings. My father had 5 children by 3 different women. One of those children was 3 months younger than I am. So, Catholic now. And I know I have an accent, so you may find out what my accent is. My accent is Grenadian. Grenada was always the island that was my home until I moved to the UK in 2004. Some of you might know some facts about Grenada, some of you might not. There are some fact sheets at the back that you can take during the break just to find out 44 facts about Grenada. So when you read through the facts, you might ask yourself, well, why did I leave this beautiful, unspoiled island with its white sandy beaches, all my friends, my job at the offshore university, to come to the UK, to come to London? It's because I wanted to progress, and I wanted more. And I felt London was the place where I wanted to be. So in 2004, I left my overprotective, overbearing, very strict mother, all my friends, and my job at the university as an administrator, and travelled to London. And I had a plan. My plan was to study travel and tourism, to work and save some money, and to return back to my island. We all have plans. It did not work out like that. Oh my God, London, it was hard. It was difficult, and I did struggle. I was studying, I was doing several cleaning jobs to survive. And I realized really quickly I had to adapt. I had to adapt to the way of London, and I also had to make some changes. So I changed my social circle. I started networking. I became friends with a different group of people altogether, people who would lead me down a positive path. I then discovered networking, which is one of my main things that I like doing in my spare time. And I also discovered organizations like Toastmasters and CIPD. And these organizations has helped me to work towards my goals. Sorry, I've got a note. Following on from that, so although Grenada is where I'm from, obviously now the UK and London has now become my home and where my heart is. I'm talking about my heart. Then I met my husband Michael in 2006. We met at work, and it took 2 years before he asked me out. 2 whole years. And then he introduced me to his mother, Greg Cypriot, who referred to me as the black girl, and she was not happy that Michael and I were going out. That was my first experience with racism. And we got married in 2008, and she wasn't at the wedding. She missed out. Now, our relationship now, we're best friends. She absolutely loves me, and because why? Because I'm a kind person, because I respect her son, and because I'm also helping him to reach his goals. So, 2019, I'm doing my first speech, Toastmasters, and the incoming secretary for the club. I'm also the incoming comms and marketing manager, or lead, I think. Not that I know anything about comms and marketing, for CIPD West London. And I'm also working on my portfolio career at the age of 43. So well done me. So this is to say that it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter for me coming from a broken home, bad relationships, everything years of experience with drive and determination. I could do it, I'm still working on it, but anyone can do it. And that's me.
Thank you, Carla. So could we get a minute on the clock to provide feedback for Carla's speech? Thank you. I just noticed we are dot on time as per the video, so good job, thank you, sir. Can't agree more, age is just a number. I think most of us know the Colonel Sanders of KFC. He started his business at the age of 76, and this is where his business has come from. So, yeah. And whoever here is on the fence about joining Toastmasters, sorry, I'm not trying to make more pitches today, but generally trying to establish the point that, you know, joining here is definitely gonna do you good. It will help you develop not only your speaking skills, but generally interpersonal skills as well. And if you need to find out more about it, the person to hunt down is our Vice President of Memberships, that's Irina, who was the evaluator for Carla's speech as well. Could you put your hands so that people know? Yeah. Good. Let's move along to our last prepared speech for the evening, which would be delivered by Melody, and her speech's evaluator is Cam Baines. So may I please request Cam to come on stage and share her speech objectives and thereafter introduce Melody to the stage as well.
Good evening. So Melody is doing Innovation Planning 2, evaluation and feedback. So there's 2 paragraphs. She's doing a speech from Pathways, basically. The member is to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback and apply feedback to a second speech. The purpose of this speech is for the member to present a speech and receive feedback from the evaluator. She's also, I've also had a word with her and there's some other feedback I'll give her during my evaluation. So good luck. Thank you.
So please give a big round of applause to Melody Baker for her speech, number 2 from the Innovative Planning Pathway.
I'm getting to an age where, if you're not careful, the years fall away like grains of salt spilled carelessly across the kitchen of life. And there's a risk that your time will bleed, and you'll realise that the existence you've cooked up is like as flat as a cake without the eggs, and not quite as tasty as you'd hoped. I think the reason for this is, weighed down by odd socks and tax returns, health problems, politics, insurance, and people-pleasing, as adults, we lose the sense of childlike wonder that we're born with. We stop playing and creating and exploring. And that's why I've developed an appreciation for something I like to call adult magic. Adult magic is an intangible feeling. It's the breath that catches in your chest when you're surprised or excited. And it wakes up the inner child within you. And it's all around us, which is good news. Last week, I was on the commute, crammed against many people, all of whom seemed to be devoid of any personality, none of whom were acknowledging each other, as you can imagine. When somebody sneezed, And the most amazing thing happened. Somebody broke all of the rules of public transport. They acknowledged one of their fellow travellers with a bless you. And it was incredible. It was as though all of these zombies had been resurrected. There was eye contact, there was smiles. It was incredible. And that's adult magic, that really is. But it doesn't have to occur like that organically. I did an escape game a couple of years ago where I found a key, I unlocked a wardrobe, and I was searching through for clues and trying to solve puzzles, and I was pulling the things out of the cupboard, found like a belt and a hat, and was throwing them stuff behind me. And suddenly I saw something move as I parted some clothes, and I pushed my hand a bit further to the back of the wardrobe and realised that there wasn't a back to the wardrobe. Fabric moved to the side, and in the back of the wardrobe I could see a corridor, chalky, bricks, candlelight. It was like something out of Narnia. That was breathtaking. Another example was when I went to Paris. My husband followed me, as he often seems to have to do, through a hotel reception, through the bar, through the restaurant, where I pressed my hand against the kitchen door, confidently walked through, past all of the chefs preparing their dinners, to another door, which I also pushed open, and eventually landed in the most incredible bar, decorated with Day of the Dead imagery, a 4-foot cross laced with multicoloured ribbons. And you might think that's kind of magic, but that's not the magic part. Sat down, we're enjoying our drinks, and then we noticed something strange start to happen. First of all, a lady walked past and then seemed to disappear into thin air. Then there was sort of commotion generally around us as when people started to sort of look near where we were sitting. People asking the staff, like, seemed to be interested in a particular part of the bar. All of the staff just poker face, I don't know what you're talking about, there's nothing here. The people next to us became positively obsessed with it, asked every member of staff. We asked, everyone was like, there's nothing here, there's literally nothing. Anyway, I Google searched, I read reviews, I couldn't find anything about what was causing all this commotion in this part of the bar. In the end, it was time to go. We asked for the bill, and the waitress came over. And she said to us while she was processing the payment, so, have you had a nice evening, going anywhere else? And I said, maybe. And she said, I can recommend somewhere that's not too far from here. And we didn't dare to dream that we might be able to find out what the secret was. Then she said, but it's mysterious and it's sensual. Are you sure you're ready for this? My husband and I looked at each other much like we did the time where we accidentally went to a naked German spa. We conferred wordlessly that we were going to do this, even if it meant letting ourselves in for a bizarre night of sordid debauchery. We were going to do it. And the lady then said, if you're really ready for this, wait there. But come with me, but wait there, and it will all become clear. We didn't know what she meant, and we soon started to regret our decision to go along with this. But after about 15 minutes of waiting, confusedly, we heard a click behind where we were stood, and the wall moved. And it opened just wide enough for us to see some eyes peering out of the darkness, beckoning us in. We stepped inside. We were now inside a coffin-sized space, in the dark, with a woman we'd never met before. She then said to us, are you sure you're ready for this? It's very sensual. It's a different world. But at this point, we're pressed up against someone we've never met before. We've already committed to whatever it is we've committed to, so we said, okay. The back of the space opened to reveal the most amazing, opulently decorated, beautiful bar I've ever seen in my life. Chaise longues decked out in blue velvet, candlelight twinkling on all the tables. Importantly, not very many people in there, maybe a couple of other people. We got taken to our seats, and then the final magnificent moment when we realised that the wall we were now sat beside was a two-way mirror, looking down at all of the people that we'd been part of for the first part of the evening. That is the magic part. That's adult magic. So, adult magic has to have the sort of vital components of surprise, excitement, connection, wonder and rarity that enable you to suspend your adult afflictions of worry, planning and predictability just long enough to dream, play and explore. So tonight I want to challenge you. Add a bit of adult magic to your life. It doesn't have to be a crazy speakeasy or saying bless you to someone on a tube. It could be making a treasure hunt for someone, leaving them a surprise note, or having a silly conversation with a friend. But whatever you choose, just get back into that kitchen of life and chuck some sprinkles on what you're cooking up. I promise you won't regret it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. Could you please get a minute on the clock to capture feedback for Mandy's speech? Oh, yeah, this doesn't happen often. So our evaluations pages or sheets are equipped to capture only 3 speeches. So what I would recommend is, where it says Topics Master, you can actually capture the feedback there for the 4th speaker. And what we generally do, practice is that you would rip that part of the page out and hand it to the speakers during the network break. Right. That finishes our prepared speeches section, and can I please call upon our timekeeper for the evening to give the speech times for each of the speeches. So in case you've not noticed any speaker's name or the title of the speech, this would be the time to make a note of that.
Hello again. Claudia Welch spoke for 20 minutes 20 seconds. Sumit's speech was for 5 minutes 59 seconds. Kurla spoke for 5 minutes 13 seconds, and Melody's speech was for 6 minutes 47 seconds. Thank you.
Okay, now 2 actions to take. Number 1, may I please request all non-members / guests to stand up and share why they're here and what are they keen to get out of today's meeting. So may I please request all the guests and non-members to stand up. Okay. So we can possibly go clockwise. So do you want to start and share your name and what brought you here? Are you looking for today's meeting?
Sure. My name is Emart Severini. I work at a software company in London, and the reason I came here is because my director manager advised that the best way to practice your ability to speak is to join a club like this, and he's actually an ex-member, so he recommended I do it.
Hello everyone, my name is Ethan. I've been to Toastmasters Club before. I moved over from Buckinghamshire, so I've been a few times there. And I've always just wanted to join a club like this to improve my public speaking skills and be able to make toast at weddings and go to one actually this week. So, really handy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Shirley. I came here to support my girlfriend, Kurla. I'm a therapist by day and a friend by night. I'm a therapist and counsellor, person-centred counsellor during the day and evening, and just had some time to support my friends, so here I am.
Hi everyone, my name is Amal Ismail. I've joined Toastmasters because it's always been on my radar, and although I do a lot of public speaking in my previous work, I was a strategy consultant working with the pharma industry. I've recently shifted and became a functional medicine practitioner. I have a big mission around reversing chronic disease, and I have a TED talk on my vision board, so I want to really be here in order to improve my speaking skills and hopefully be able to deliver that. That's me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ruth, visiting again, and outgoing president of Riverside Communicators. It's lovely to visit the sister club. Yeah, great fun.
Good evening, my name is Ahmed. I'm a professional pharmacist. I've heard of Toastmasters. I'm here just to really see it in person, and I'm hoping to improve my communication skills and just be a bit more comfortable in speaking in public. My job tends to focus on one-to-one and personal speaking, but not in a crowd, and it's just my next thing that I want to do. So thank you.
Cam for short, Corona. Basically, it's my second time here as a guest, and just really a want to basically come out of my shell. So I feel like I was inside a shell, and this is how my life was going. So I think it's just to try to express myself better, even if it's rubbish talk. I just want to be confident, like maybe when I was a child. Cool. Thank you.
Hi guys, Mukhtar here. I'm a software engineer as a profession, and I'm here just to increase my confidence and to improve my body skills when I'm talking. So I'm just, this is my first day in the Toastmasters Club, and I really loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mukhtar.
Hi, I'm Manoj. Basically, I'm working in a bank where Sumit joined as an intern. So, yeah, I actually know these.
Is he still an intern?
Sorry?
Is he still an intern? Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so I love these kind of sessions and enjoy them. And I heard this Toastmasters from my wife, and then I thought, let's go ahead and see how it goes and have some fun.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm Claudia. I'm a member of West London Speaker. I'm the incoming president for that club as well. And I was here to share my speech and just meet people because I do like to socialize.
My name's Matthew. I work over in East London, Hackney Council. I'm here primarily to support Melody, but also quite intrigued to see where Melody goes every Wednesday evening. But just a
These doors,
yeah. But yeah, just I heard loads of great things actually about the club, so really keen just to see it in the flesh.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks. We're going to break for our network break for 10 minutes. So the two actions that I was talking about. Number one, if you are interested in coming to the stage tonight and give a shot at free speaking, please sign up for a table topic which will be run by Simon. Here you can see him in the white shirt. And secondly, if you have any questions, please feel free to catch hold of any existing member or any committee member. There are some envelopes that are laid out there, so we can hand you those as basic information about the club and how Toastmasters works. So 10 minutes. So we'll be back here 10 to 9.